Hello everyone. Myself Professor Dr. Rajeshri Zavade, Assistant Professor, DG College of Commerce, Satara. Today I am going to discuss about legality of object. One of the essentials of a valid contract is that the object of an agreement must be lawful. Both the consideration and object of an agreement must be lawful. Otherwise, the agreement becomes void one. In this particular lecture, we will understand the importance of legality of object and consideration. According to Section 23 of the Indian Contract Act, an agreement of which the object or consideration is unlawful is void. Object means what? The object means the purpose or design of the contract, and that object must be lawful. That agreement, that contract should be legally and morally right. If the consideration is lawful but the object is unlawful, the agreement becomes void. For example, if a person who is declared insolvent transfers to another his property for money, some property with the object of deceiving his creditors, the consideration is lawful but the object of this agreement is unlawful, and hence agreement becomes void one. If we look into this PPT, we will understand there are essential ingredients of contract. So these are the essential. In the earlier lecture, you have seen all these things, but in this particular lecture, we will be discussing on the legality of object, and this object which is recognized and approved by the society as well as law. So you have seen that there should be two or more parties, offer and acceptance, identity of mind, that means agreed upon the same subject matter, consideration, then something in written. Every contract must be supported by consideration. Capacity is very important and essential ingredient of a valid contract. Party should be competent. Then the free consent, which we have seen in the last lecture. Lawful consideration and lawful object. So consideration must be lawful, and today we are going to discuss about this legality of object. When object or consideration is unlawful. So when we are talking about consideration and object, which are very essential part of a valid contract, so it should be always lawful only, it should be always legal only. But what are those circumstances in which the object and the consideration are treated as unlawful one? When it is forbidden by law, when if it is defeats the provision of law, if it is fraudulent, if it is causes injury to person or property of another, if the court regards it as immoral, if the court regards it as opposed to public policy. So what are these ingredients? So if we are talking about forbidden by law, according to Section 23 of the Indian Contract Act, the object or the consideration of an agreement which is unlawful. So these are the essential where we can find that this forbidden by law, defeat the provision of law, all these statements and the word shows that the object and the consideration is unlawful. If it is forbidden by law, if the object or consideration of an agreement is such as is forbidden by law or prevented by law, the agreement becomes void. For example, X promises to secure Y an employment in the government service. If Y pays him rupees 10,000, the agreement is void as the consideration is unlawful. This is the example of forbidden by law. That means the thing which is prohibited by law to do and not to do, that we need to follow. If the law is saying you should not do that, and instead of following all these rules and the regulations, suppose person is doing and for getting any benefit or cheating or any other purpose, then also that will be treated as forbidden by law, and that will not be accepted under the contract. So if the object and the consideration is against the provision of law, then that may be treated as forbidden by law, and object and consideration in that case will be treated as unlawful one. Second point, if it is defeat the provisions of law. If the object or consideration of an agreement is of such a nature that if permitted, it would defeat the provision of any law, the agreement is void. That means what? If we are having that kind of permission and the rights to enter into a contract, we cannot enter into a contract which will be illegal, which will be unlawful. So, here we need to understand the provisions. Whatever the rules and the regulations are prescribed, we need to follow that. And even when we are trying to enter, or when the parties are entering into a contract, then that time also they need to take into consider all these consequences. Thus any agreement, for example, a Hindu husband to marry another woman, if he tries to marry another woman, when his first wife is alive, this will be treated as void and will not be enforceable by law. This is because if it is permitted, it would defeat the provision of Hindu law. Because according to Hindu, there should be one wife at the same time. He should not have another wife. And third point is what? If it is fraudulent. What is this? An agreement which is made for fraudulent purpose is said to be as an void. If the agreement aims at cheating, or suppose one person is cheating or doing fraud, then it is treated as unlawful and void one. For example, A and B is there, and they are trying to enter into an agreement. So in that case, they are doing this agreement to share the profit. But here, to get profit, they are cheating or they are creating nuisance. Fraud. They are doing fraud with the third party, that is C. Then the agreement is said to be as void one, because the object of the contract or agreement is unlawful one. Fourth point is what? If it involves injury to the person or property, that means if the person causes injury or any harmful act to person or a property of another, in that case also, if the purpose of an agreement is to cause injury to the person or property of another person, if it is unlawful, then it will be treated as void one. Injury means what? Injury means any damage or harm or wrong which will be caused to a person or a property. Thus, an agreement to destroy someone's house is unlawful. Next is, if the court regards it as immoral one. So dear students, here we have to understand that always contract should be for a moral purpose. And if the parties are trying to enter into a contract which object and the consideration is immoral or unlawful or illegal, then in that case that contract or agreement may be treated as void one. If the court regards the purpose of the agreement as immoral, the agreement is said to be void one. That means will not be enforceable by law. The term immoral means what? Term immoral means any illegal or unlawful or immoral activity. The standard of morality. What is this morality? Standard of morality prevailing in a society. That means whatever the public opinion or the people demand, people want for the welfare of the society, if that is breaching and committing any unlawful activity, that will be treated as unlawful and even immoral. In general, for example, sexual immorality is regarded as an immoral act. Next is, if the court regards it as opposed to public policy. Now, here we need to understand the concept of public policy. So, public policy is very important thing. This is one principle of law. If law is there, law is in the interest of public, in the interest of society. So, an agreement is unlawful and void if the court regard it as opposed to public policy. Suppose the object of the act is against the public policy, against the public need, public demand, or suppose there is anything which is not accepted by the public and the person or the people are trying to enter into a contract, then also contract may be treated as a void one because it is opposed to public policy. So all these legality of object, here you can see legality of object opposed to public policy. When we are trying to understand this concept, we need to understand an agreement is said to be opposed to public policy when it is harmful or injurious to public interest. Public policy is that principle of law which provides that no person can lawfully do that which has tendency to be injurious to the interest of the public. A contract opposed to public policy cannot be enforced by parties. Any agreement which is to promote corruption or injustice, this is against the interest of public and that is considered to be void and it is against the or oppose the public policy. So here in this PPT you will understand when agreements are there, agreement trading with enemy, agreement to commit a crime, agreement which agreement in restraint of legal proceedings, administration of justice interference, trafficking in public offices and titles, tending to create interest opposed to duty, restraint of personal liberty, restraint of marriage, brokerage, then interfering with marital duties, then agreement to defraud creditors, agreement in restraint of trade. So all these agreements wherein we can see the object and the consideration is unlawful one, then in that case that contract will not be enforceable by law. So if we are talking about which agreements are opposed to public policy, so here we can see trading, this trading with enemy, trading with the citizen of enemy country is against the public policy. An agreement with an alien enemy or foreigner in time of war is illegal on the ground of public policy. It is against the national honor. Next is what agreement to commit a crime, where the consideration is an agreement to commit a crime. The agreement is regarded as opposed to public policy. No society will allow to commit a crime. So, if there is an agreement or a contract to commit a crime or illegal activity, then only in that case, this particular agreement will not be enforceable by law. Court will not enforce such an agreement. Third is what? Agreement to prevent prosecution. An agreement to prevent the prosecution or proceeding already instituted from running their normal course is void because it is opposed to public policy. That means we should not interfere in the court proceeding to mold the judgment or any proceeding. Any agreement to interfere with the administration of justice is unlawful. If any person enters into an agreement not to prosecute the offender or to withdraw pending prosecution, it is against the public policy. So in that case, nobody should try to save the offender or a criminal. So if the agreement is there to gain money or to gain any benefit, then only in that case that agreement will be void. One will not be enforceable by law. Maintenance and champerty. What is this? Maintenance and champerty agreements are void and which is opposite public policy. Maintenance may be defined as an agreement whereby a person promises to maintain a suit, that means a case, and help other by giving and taking a money to continue litigation which he has no interest. And what is this stamp duty? That is an agreement whereby one person agrees to share the result of litigation. Here one person assists another to bring an action for recovering something and then sharing it. So this is also prohibited, which is against the public policy. Here, agreements in restraint of parental rights. Parents have natural authority over their children. Such authority cannot be taken away by making an agreement in this behalf. If the parents make such agreement, then it will be void one. If there is violation of their children's rights, then in that case that may be also void one on the ground of public policy. Next is what? Next is agreement in restraint of personal liberty. An agreement which restricts the liberty of an individual is void and opposed to public policy. My dear students, here I would like to tell you that liberty is a very important aspect of our right to life and personal liberty. So if people are trying to enter into a contract, suppose A and B, they are entering into a contract and A is trying to violate liberty of B. Forcefully, A is forcing B to enter into a contract. Then also in that case, that contract will not be a contract according to public policy. That means, what is this public policy? Whatever the norms, whatever the culture, whatever the good things and the principles of behavior are there, as the general, as the common man, as a prudent man, that kind of behavior should be there while entering into a contract. That means personal liberty should be protected. But when there is an agreement, and the agreement wherein there is restraint of personal liberty, then also that is treated as a agreement against the public policy. Next is what? Agreement tending to create monopolies. An agreement to create monopoly is void and opposed to public policy. Monopolies to exploit the consumers. This is one example. Suppose there is exploitation of a consumer when providing services. Hence they are detrimental to the interest of the society. And here monopoly rights cannot be given by an agreement. Next is this marriage brokerage agreement. An agreement to pay brokerage for setting the marriage of a person is also treated as void, and this is treated as opposed to public policy. For example, an agreement by A with A to pay him certain sum for getting a wife for him cannot be enforced by law. This is totally against the public policy. Agreement interfering with marital duties. This is also against the public policy. An agreement to create interest against the marital duties of a person is void and opposed to public policy. And then next, agreement to influence election to public offices. Now what is this? We know all the malpractices which happen in election time. Any agreement to influence election to public offices by improper means is void and that is not enforceable by law. For example, an agreement with voters to influence them in public elections by paying them in cash or kind of various products or services, that is also void. Now we'll talk about void agreement. So we have seen legal object and the agreements which are against the public policy. Now we'll talk about void agreement. So here these are some examples of void agreements. All agreements are not contracts enforceable at law. Only those agreements which fulfill the essentials of valid contract are enforceable by law. We already know that agreements are void if the parties are not competent, there is no consideration or object, the object is not lawful one, then in that case that agreement will be void agreement. So here now we look into the part where the agreements are treated as void one. So agreement in restraint of marriage. So here agreement in restraint of marriage of any person other than a minor is void and cannot be enforced by law. Every person has a freedom either to marry or not to marry. Therefore, any agreement which prohibiting or restricting or restraining a person from marrying or marrying a particular person is void one. For example, X promised to marry no one except Miss Y and in default to pay her rupees 10,000. Miss Y filed case against X since he married someone else. It was held that agreement was in restraint of marriage and as such it will not be enforceable by law. That is void one. Next, agreement in restraint of trade. What is this? An agreement restraining a person from exercising lawful trade, profession or business of any kind is void. That means you all know that our Indian Constitution has given us a very basic fundamental human right. There are freedoms recognized under the Indian Constitution. Article 19 provides these kind of freedoms. So person can enter into a business. That person can do trade, occupation and business. But suppose anyone is prohibiting that person and not to do that particular business, and suppose he is compelling that person and creating any document or entering into an agreement, creating an agreement or a contract by which he will restrain that person not to do any trade or profession which is lawful one, then also that will be a void agreement. Everyone is at liberty to work for himself according to his skill and the capacity. Nobody can be deprived of his fundamental right to work and exercise any lawful trade or profession. Now we'll talk about next ingredient and next agreement, void agreement, and that is agreement in restraint of legal proceeding. What is this? In this, every agreement by which any party is restricted from enforcing his rights under any contract, that is treated as void one. Any agreement which restrains a party from doing any right thing and going to the court for any injustice done to him, then it becomes a void and cannot be enforced. That means, for example, suppose if A B is there and B is acting with a malified intention, with a bad intention. B is cheating with A. So here suppose any loss caused to B A's property, then A can file case against B. So in this particular case, suppose B is prohibiting or preventing A from filing a case in a court of law, and for that purpose even B is trying to enter into an agreement that he will pay the amount, and this is also with the intention of cheating. He is speaking, he is saying this and prohibiting A from going to the court of law. So this is nothing but restraint of legal proceeding, not to file a case in a court of law. So for that purpose we may use this force also. So these kind of agreements are treated as restraint of legal proceedings. Another example, if an employee of a company agrees not to sue the employer, that means don't file case against the employer for wrongful behavior or wrongful dismissal, then also in that case it is treated as void agreement. This is because every person has a right to seek justice in a court, and that's why nobody can prevent any person from going to the court of law and ask for the justice. So agreement and restraint of legal proceedings are void agreement. Next is uncertain agreement. What is this? The word uncertain itself shows us the term and conditions of any agreement should be clear and unambiguous. That should be clear one. That should be unambiguous. Therefore, an agreement, the meaning of which is not certain or capable of being made. When we talk about clear and unambiguous, there are terms and the conditions in the contract or the agreement. But these terms and the conditions should be valid one. It should not be uncertain. If the terms and the conditions are uncertain, which are not clear or unambiguous or ambiguous, so ambiguous and unambiguous, there is difference between two words. Unambiguous, that means there is no problem, it is clear only. But when there is ambiguity, there are problems. Technical problems may be there, or in the problem in enforcement. So it is treated as an unenforceable contract. So here we need to understand an agreement where uncertainty is there, then also that agreement will be treated as void agreement. And next is wagering agreement. Every agreement by way of wager is void. What is this? In Marathi we call as पैजेचा करार. So the winner cannot file suit for recovery of the amount won on any wager. Wager means a bet. A wager may be defined as an agreement to pay money or money's worth on the happening of a specified uncertain event. The chance of winning or losing entirely depends on the happening of an uncertain event. One party wins while the other party loses under such wagering agreement. For example, there is an agreement between A and B, wherein B provides Indian cricket team wins a World Cup 2010. Then A will pay B rupees 5,000 rupees. And if India loses, B will pay A same amount, 5,000 rupees. This is a wagering agreement. This is a wagering agreement. पैजेचा करार की ज्यामध्ये एकमेकांमध्ये पैज लागलेली असते की जर का ही मॅच जिंकली तर मी तुला 5,000 रुपये कॅश देईन आणि जर नाही जिंकली तर तू मला द्यायचे. So vice versa, it may be vice versa. Okay, so here I would like to tell you that even void agreement like wagering agreement, that is पैजेचा करार, is also treated as void agreement under the law, Indian Contract Act 1872. So in conclusion, I would like to tell you that object should be always legal and contract or agreement should not be void one. Thank you.